This recipe for eggplant rollatini is from Sicily, where the fried eggplant is stuffed with pasta, layered with tomato sauce, and topped with cheese before being baked until the outside becomes crispy and the eggplant melts in your mouth. Let's begin by smashing 2 garlic cloves and giving them a rough chop. In a small saucepan on medium-low heat, pour in about a tablespoon of olive oil. Drop in the garlic along with a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes and give them a stir and let it fry until golden. Then pour in your favorite can of pureed tomatoes and add back about a 1/4 cup of water to get all the tomatoes out of the can. Mix in a big pinch of salt along with a stem of basil. Then just turn down the heat to low and let it simmer while you prepare the rest of the ingredients, which will consist of removing the ends from a large eggplant. Cut off the rounded edges from 2 opposite sides to make it more even and square. Then carefully slice planks from top to bottom that are about 1/3 inch thick. You don't want them to be paper thin because then they could break when you try to roll them. Slowly move your knife to try to get the same thickness throughout the slice. Depending on the size of the eggplant, it should yield about 8 to 10 full-size pieces. I ended up using 1.5 eggplant to make sure I had at least 12 good-sized slices, which is enough to serve about 4 people for a main course. Dab the eggplant slices on a kitchen towel before dropping them into a medium-sized skillet filled about 1 inch high with frying oil. You want the oil to be about 360 degrees, which is slightly hotter than normal, so the eggplant can brown quickly without overcooking. Let them fry for 2 to 3 minutes, flipping halfway through or until they're nicely golden brown. Remove them to a wired rack so the oil can drain while you continue on with the other batches. You may find other recipes that grill or bake the eggplant, but the traditional recipe calls for frying for a reason. You would also need to pre-salt the eggplant when baking or grilling, but that's not actually necessary when frying. As long as it's a quality eggplant, it will come out sweet and delicious. Make sure to hit each piece with a little bit of salt after it comes out of the fryer. Now, toss a couple tablespoons of salt into a pot of boiling water before dropping in a 1/2 pound of spaghetti. Cook the pasta until it's very al dente because it's also going to get baked in the oven. Once the pasta is ready, add it directly to a bowl. Pour over a couple ladlefuls of the sauce so it gets coated nicely but isn't overly saucy. The last thing to prepare is grating about 3 ounces of low moisture mozzarella cheese and also 3 ounces of Parmigiano Reggiano. You could also use Pecorino, and the original recipe calls for Ricotta Salata, but it isn't always easy to find. Add a couple ladles of sauce to a large baking dish and smooth it out evenly. To prepare each involtino, which means little bundle in Italian, take a small portion of pasta, which equates to 2 to 3 forkfuls, and lay it out over the center of the eggplant, allowing about 1.5 inches of the pasta to come out of both sides. Sprinkle on about a teaspoon of the Parmesan before taking the bottom end of the eggplant and folding it over the pasta. Then give it one more roll to complete the bundle and gently place it seam side down into the baking dish. Then just continue on with the rest of the rollatini, adding a decent amount of pasta, a touch of cheese, and roll them up. Place them in 2 rows, trying to keep the pasta from overlapping because the exposed spaghetti is going to roast in the oven and get crispy. Once they're all neatly placed in, add a small spoonful of sauce over each one and a thin line of mozzarella cheese. Place it in the center of a 425-degree oven and bake for about 12 minutes. Then place the oven on a low broil until the top becomes bubbly and golden brown. Once it's your desired color, take it out of the oven and let it cool slightly before serving. Finish with some basil leaves and of course an extra grating of Parmesan cheese. This dish is so great because the pasta on the inside is perfectly cooked while the outside is nice and crispy. And it goes perfectly with the rich eggplant and sweet sauce. Please leave any questions or thoughts in the comments and let me know if you plan on trying this one out. Thank you for watching.